Huh? Shit. Uh, sure.
The Harry Potter, am I right? You know, the little rat boy with the wand. He's great. I love that I keep seeing shops dedicated to nothing but Harry Potter. I'm probably the biggest Harry Potter fan ever. I'm into Team Jedward and all that. And I'll admit, there are little weird things in Harry Potter, like, the banker designs, which are probably, and, there's other odd things, like wizard chess being called wizard chess. That's like calling normal chess human chess. But things like that, I assume, just come from, I don't know, like the brain rot of living in a tourist-filled nightmare like Edinburgh. You can only hear so many bagpipes before you just kinda melt and do something stupid like dedicating your entire Twitter account to TERF rhetoric, just as an example. Despite everything, the Harry Potter world is still probably one of the best things ever made, and so it of course links back into video games. It always does. It doesn't even sound like I'm joking, does it? It just kind of sounds like I'm genuinely obsessed with Harry Potter.
All four of you will receive detention.
Excuse me, Professor. Perhaps I heard you wrong. I thought you said—
Shut the fuck up, you slug-looking motherfucker. I will literally suplex you, you stinky idiot.
Anyway, Harry Potter and the, on PS1. I was going to talk about the 6th gen console version of this, since I thought that would make the most sense, but these versions are apparently mad. Like, I don't get them. So you have the PC and PS1 versions, which came out at the same time and are kind of similar. Then 2 years later you have the 6th gen versions, which are very different and apparently take significant elements from the Chamber of Secrets game, because that was released a year before this. So they released the Philosopher's Stone game, then the Chamber of Secrets game, then Philosopher's Stone again for some reason? I don't know. I'm playing the PS1 version while also referencing the PC version a little bit because I did play a bit of it. So, fuck. I know I showed a copy of this game a minute ago, but I don't think that copy works properly, and I don't really want to order a new one because of, the events that's happening right now. I'm hoping someone watches this later and they freak out and are like, what was the event? What? So yeah, I'm emulating it. I didn't see many issues while emulating it. There was some weird sound stuff which wasn't right, but I don't know if that's just the game, because I remember on the copy I have, the music when you start the game would freak out and be incorrect, and I thought that was like a problem with the disc, but the emulator did that as well, so I don't know if the game just does that. Anyway, yeah,
Gaming.
this weird mess is kind of a platformer, but not really. You often see platformers being defined by their characters' movesets. Like most genres, generally the better games are the ones with kind of graspable complexity. You want there to be a vast moveset that allows freedom of the character, but isn't overwhelming. Mario is the obvious one for platformers because someone's experience with the game is obvious from just how they control Mario. You have long jumps, wall jumps, triple jumps, dives, backflips, and all of these moves can be strung together nicely. In Harry Potter, you can move. Harry jumps automatically in this game whenever he reaches a ledge, which isn't the best. It's a little awkward because he just leaps when he wants to, meaning that, funnily enough, taking control away takes control away. It's not awful though, Harry does feel right. He doesn't jump so much as he leaps forward, and you can't control him in midair, which means that there's a kind of weight behind your jumps. This is good, because there's a lot of platforming in this game, in the most literal sense as well. You're usually jumping from platform to platform, which, yeah, it's platforming, I guess. The platforming's given different context as well, which takes away some repetition. For example, in the bank, they make you run around collecting paperwork while timed, and once you've done it they say, "Oh, good job on doing the paperwork," which, Like, that's great. They really had to put in the paperwork part and gamify it. In fact, the whole bit in Diagon Alley is kind of mad. It's not very good, but like a million things happen. There's this minecart bit which is it's so fast and you spin all over the place, and it was funny, but then the game asks you to complete it near perfectly, which... There's also this bit where you have to find someone's giant purple frog, and they say giant purple frog in a very English accent multiple times, but in like the most serious way. I love it, it's great. There's also this peacock bit where you have to stand in the exact same space as the peacock, but it's almost impossible to predict, so not all of these ideas work, but it's a showcase of how the game does try a lot of things, but I feel like that's both like a good thing and a bad thing. Like, you also have occasional combat, but it's very basic. You lock onto enemies and then fire at them. You can press X for a weaker attack or hold it for a stronger one. Like, it works. Enemies often have a specific unique way of dealing with them, which is cool, but there isn't much to it, it's just timing. So while there's a lot going on here and it's not really repetitive, it also feels like they didn't allow much space for ideas to breathe, especially considering the game is only like 5 hours long. There's Quidditch, which is recurring and seems like they want it to be a big aspect, but all you do is fly for hoops and occasionally dodge a projectile. Like, it's fun, but it's not got much to it. I said that it's a platformer, kind of, because the platforming is so basic that it's hard to call it that. I kind of thought it was a Zelda-like as well, because the platforming is actually the same, the combat is really similar, there's a consistent overworld, and you have the equipment in the form of spells, but apart from the overworld, it's so underdeveloped. I didn't even mention the spells because it's another small thing that could be a bigger thing. You press X when it says to use a spell and you play a short minigame to use the spell. There's like 4 of them and they have really situational use, but you know, more could be done with them. That's what I feel with a lot of this game, like more could be done with it. In fact, thinking about it now, Zelda games are usually like 15 to 40 hours long, and again this is 5 hours long, so it just needs more room to breathe, but also less space so that the ideas they already have are developed more rather than more ideas are added but not developed. At the same time though, in 2020, I think the shorter, idea-filled nature of the game means it's easier to enjoy for its more, stranger elements. Because while the game by itself is nothing special, the presentation is incredibly unique and interesting. I didn't mention the story earlier because there isn't one. Kind of events from the film still happen, but like they're completely out of order. Like the troll fight thing with the weird CG, that happens at I think like the end of the first act in the film, but here it's like the end of the game, and it happens after you find that mirror, which in the film happens I think more like the midpoint. It's all over the place and I don't know why, so it's difficult to say this game has a story, but that doesn't mean the writing isn't also amazing. The game starts on like a really high note because at the start you're introduced to Draco Malfoy with the line, "Go home to your mother, Potter. Oh sorry, you don't have one, do you?" Which, like, fucking hell, dude. "Oh, you joined Gryffindor, Potter. Well, that's why your mum's dead." The whole game has just this sort of stuff where the lines just feel off. It's the same feeling as when lines from like a different language are translated straight into English. But this was developed by Argonaut, the Star Fox guys, who, they're British, so like, there was no translation, it's just like this. It's more than the lines themselves though, it's also the way they're delivered is really strange. Half the voice actors are children, so I don't know, it's amazing anyway, but the way dialogue is laid out is like text boxes, so one person will say their line, then there's a slight pause, and then it's the next person. It's never quite right. And what pulls this all together is the emptiness of the castle. This is a big recreation of Hogwarts, but on PS1 hardware, and so again, it's just not quite right. I think it's summarised best by this portrait room near the start. You walk through this huge door, close it behind you, wait for a loading screen, and then you're in this room with no music, no decorations, and just a portrait who you can talk to and listen to with like his off-sounding dialogue. This castle feels empty. There's usually no music, there's nobody around apart from people who stand still and don't speak like humans, and everything's separated by long silent loading screens, making things feel kind of just disconnected. It's kind of cool and atmospheric, and I doubt they meant this at all. It's just that they were trying to do things they couldn't do on this hardware without it being rough. This is why I didn't play the PC version as much. It's not awful, it's technically better than the PS1 version I guess, but it's not better enough. Like, it looks nicer and everything, but the game is just made up of okay if slightly clunky platforming. Like, if I wanted nice graphics, I'm not gonna play a game from 2001, and if I wanted the tank control based platforming, I'd play like Tomb Raider or Urban Chaos or something that just does it better, you know? The PS1 game though is genuinely unique in its strange atmosphere, and I don't think it's possible to recreate it. This is a product of its ambitions to create something that the hardware just couldn't, and you still get that with games now, but they're not going to be as awkward and fun as this. And that's not like a bad thing. I'm not saying it was better back then. It's like, it's good that Doom on the Switch is basically the same as Doom on the PC, but like, not completely the same. I should stop going, I should write like a complete script rather than just making stuff up, because stuff like this happens and it's just a mess. But yeah, while I appreciate like how advanced stuff is now, that stuff like this is cool too. That's what I was trying to say until I what? I should re-record all of this. I'm not gonna though. I guess this is a recommendation because while the game isn't perfect, it's short enough that its problems don't become too irritating. So if what I've described sounds interesting, I genuinely give this a go. It's nothing great, but seeing it is interesting and kind of fun. I might play the sequel as well, partially because I think it would be funny if, like, after not talking about Dead Rising 2 or Condemned 2, I just show up and I'm like, alright, this is Harry Potter 2. But also because it's like a generational leap, and I remember they do a lot more with this. So yeah, that's Harry Potter. Next video I'll talk about, like, I don't know, the intricate horror atmosphere of Smarty's Meltdown or something, I guess. If you're one of the people who watch these videos who I don't actually know, then like, stay safe indoors, I guess. Love you. XOXO. How do you end videos? It's so weird.
I don't think I'll ever live to see a prophet. I don't want to be a locket, clinging to a chest till the last breath.